This game's not won on social media. This game's not won on telephones. This game is won with shoulder pads, helmets, mouth guards, and sweat. That's how the game is won.
Week 7 of the Bill Neese's Coach Show. I'm your host, Chip Hare. With us is the head coach, Bill Neese. This show brought to you by Dick Lumpkins. Got a bump, call lump. Coach, big win. Back on the winning trail again. Second win in a row for the Indians, defeating Fairborn at Fairborn. Score of 63-0. Indians get the shutout. But it was a game that had a lot of interesting twists for a 63-0 game. You wouldn't think so. Our offense gets going. Kai, we had 3 touchdown passes with Drayshawn and Brady Owl connecting. Defense, we had a couple pick sixes, a couple big ones that turn into points for the Indians. Again, the Indians' defense all year again shows some offense on the defensive side, getting points for the Indians. Coach, you had to be pleased with us all the way around.
I think we were, and after we looked at film, there was really a lot of good things. It's not sometimes where you look at the film afterwards and things are not as good as what they seemed. It's a great case for what we do, what we talk about on Saturdays, and we've always talked about basically there's 2 statistics that we care about besides the scoreboard. We care about big plays and we care about turnovers. And in the course of that game, I could see the next day, I could see Fairborn's coach coming out and saying, "Hey guys, we ran more plays than them, we had more first downs than them, we had this." But the bottom line is that we were able to get turnovers, and we were able to get 9 explosive plays of 30 or more yards, and they were not able to do that. They turned the ball over, a reasonable amount of time. So I think those are really things that you really have to keep looking at, because with high school football players, those are what we call game changers because they create momentum. Mm-hmm. They create stuff, and it's like a block punt. It's like we're calling a fake punt and it doesn't work. I mean, there's just stuff that happens during games that you either want to have happen, you want things to go well, or you want to avoid stuff like that. And it was a good case for us, for that particular night.
Well, one play in particular that stands out, people were talking about the score at the end of the game, but we were up 21-0, and Fairborn's driving. In fact, they're inside their 5, and their quarterback throws an interception, and Elijah Frazier runs it back 100-plus yards for a touchdown, and now goes from, instead of being a 21-7 game, it goes now to a 4-score game, 28-0, and that really snapped them. If there was any momentum that they had, it really took it out.
And they're a good football team in terms of they have a good scheme, they have good, a good idea of what's happening. They made us, make some changes, do some things a little differently, and but not totally. I think the good thing about it is you go play somebody like that, and they had their idea of what they wanted to do with the zone read, and they forced us to play it better. At one point, our 2 linebackers were asking me, what can we do? There's nothing we can do schematically. You've got to do something better with what your technique is. And sometimes, to me, it was a matter of technique. We stayed with the way we were going to do it, and so as a result, I think we're a better football team as a result of it.
Well, Indians on both sides of the ball really do a good job and dominate the game. Again, 63-0 win at Fairborn. And ironically, Coach, I think that was the first time we had been at Fairborn in
7 years.
7 years. Yeah,
7 years.
It's been a while. A lot of people didn't understand that, but with the new league, we haven't played at their play shed. It'll be the last time actually we play at that stadium because next time they'll have a new one there. So is grass field anything different on your end? Just from seeing, we talked about that at the show last week.
Not really. As long as there's no holes, as long as there's no giant tall grass or anything like that, was a well kept field, and we played well. We had a lot of good things happen. In terms of our team, our entire offensive line graded out above 88%, which is the best they've done. We had our outside linebackers, because it was such a perimeter game, we had our outside linebackers combined for almost 20 tackles. And I thought that was essential, what we did. And I felt that our two inside linebackers just weren't getting into the action. They weren't, and not because of anything they were doing wrong. It was just a perimeter type game. And so when we passed out the awards tonight, the outside linebackers were coming out with a wheelbarrow full.
Yeah, they looked happy tonight.
The inside players are our main corner. There are two insides and our safety. I think they split 2 dots each, in their helmets. So it's something to look forward to. I think our outside linebackers played very well. We're excited about that. Our corners played well. So things are getting better.
Well, as we get better, we move forward. Those inside linebackers are going to have another opportunity this Friday. It'll be homecoming week, and Greenville comes to town in another MVL key matchup because it's an MVL game, and it's an important game because it's the one right in front of you. Talk a little about the Green Wave and what people can expect to see from them.
They're a combination offense of a 2-back, 1-back offense. Run some power, run lead back, run kick out, and then come underneath with the H-back. So they have a typical H-back offense, which is kind of what everybody runs out of pistol. They got an outstanding running back. He's been the leading rusher for the last 2 years. He's number 2 in the league right now. The big difference, I think, this year is one time you look up and he's at running back, another time you look up and he's on a slot over here. Another time you look up, he's the number 3 receiver. Another time you look up, he's in Wildcat. So there's a lot of different places they're trying to get him on the field to get him the football. I think defensively, they play a very solid defense. They play a defense similar to ours, an even front defense. Do probably a little bit more shading than we do, but generally speaking, it's structurally, very similar to ours.
Well, they've been in a lot of close games, and they've been, including this most recent one with West Carrollton. So I know they're coming in excited to play, and I know they always look forward to coming to Alexander Stadium. That's a long-time rival for people that the younger generation may not, but for those older generation, we talk about Piqua and Troy and Piqua and Sydney. But for Greenville, this is a big rival game for them.
It's always been a good game for us. I think there's never been a situation where no matter what the records are that we don't go over there or they don't come here, and both teams are not ready to play a good football game.
Yeah, Coach, we talk a little bit about our 2 seniors that we're spotlighting today. We call him Tank, but his name is Bryce Deal, and then we call him Bernie, and his name is Brennan Johns. Both of those guys have
nickname night tonight.
Yeah, that's kind of what the theme has been. Coach, talk a little bit about both those guys. Two different guys that play, and unfortunately in Tank's situation, he's fighting an injury, and in Brendan's situation, he's getting an opportunity now to get a starting situation on defensive end, on defensive line.
Well, I think in Bryce's case, in Tank's case, we're looking forward to him playing a lot of football for us this year, either on the offensive line or the defensive line. And I've used him last year a couple times as a run stopper. He's a big kid. He can come off the ball real well, and he holds his ground. And he unfortunately hurt his knee this year, but he has been battling back. At one point, we thought we lost him for the whole year, and he comes back with a brace, came back raring to go, and so he's working his way back in. Tonight was his first really full night of participating. On Mondays, we do speed improvement drills, and he participated in all 4 stations tonight, and that's a very good sign. And he's always been a great weight room guy, a great guy around the facility and everything. One of the better liked.
Yes. Very likable.
Very likable fellows we have. Now, Brennan, interesting case in the fact that he's been our long snapper for 2 years, and he's played JVs for 2 years. And this past year, he's always been a linebacker, and this past year he got a little heavier. We moved him to defensive end, and said, hey, listen, we'll give you a chance. You got to be active. You got to move. Defensive ends don't have a whole lot of assignments, but they have a lot of hustling they got to do, and they got a lot of mismatches. With big offensive tackles and getting kicked out by guards, and he's done a tremendous tremendous job for us. This past week, he had 9 tackles, 3 tackles beyond the line of scrimmage. So he's put himself in a position where he's tough to block. And he now uses his techniques. He understands leverage. And he's enjoying a very good senior year.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about Brennan from the first scrimmage all the way through to this past Friday night, he just keeps getting better every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach, we think both of those guys certainly are going to be a key as we move forward to Greenville and on to the season. The one thing that I'd like to go back and just chat with you before we get into before we close it up is the week-to-week process. We talk about this a lot on the show about, hey, we're going to just take it one week at a time. I heard the guys tonight in the locker room, it's Greenville. They're locked in on Greenville, and they were talking about some of the keys about Greenville, and they take it seriously. You say, well, you can look at their record and they don't take it seriously. These guys, it's interesting being around these guys for years. It's no surprise, but it all comes from what you give them on Mondays in the video room talk.
Yeah, and go through and look at quite a few things. In the last couple weeks, we've played 2 teams that maybe not have had the greatest records, but they've got good players. They've got good schemes. And these guys are out there watching films of us, trying to figure out how they can, mess with us, how they can find our weaknesses. Nobody just looks out and goes, oh, we're playing Pickwood this week, let's not bother. That doesn't happen.
No, it's the other way.
And nobody does that. And so as a result, I think that these last 2 weeks, the big theme we've had for the last 2 weeks, and I know the Patriots have done a great job over the course of the years with everybody just yelling, just do your job. One of those cliches, do your job. Well, to me, I really like the cliche. We've been using it for the last 2 weeks. Don't get bored doing your job. And case in point, you just got to keep going out there and doing the fundamentals, and you cannot get bored doing your job because the variable changes every week. Yeah. Every week it changes. Just like tonight at practice, we're out working on punt, and Greenville runs a 5x5 rush that we haven't seen all year, but we've practiced it every day since June. Oh yeah. And so we'll be ready to go, but we're all set. We got the protection right. Everybody's set. We snapped the ball back, and we just dropped the ball. And it's like, don't get bored with the fundamentals. Don't get bored with just doing your job. And that's all we've preached for the last 2 weeks of doing.
Well, you bring a point up about film, and you watch film at the conclusion of every season. You watch every game again, and you break it down. You break it down differently, and I know it's for your preparation in the next year. So
we have to work on.
Even though we're working on Greenville this week, you've had in your mind what Greenville's doing in July and August. So these guys aren't just seeing it for the first time. You've actually started putting it in their heads earlier. Yeah, you go
when the season's over with, you evaluate everything that's happening and say, okay, we need to spend more time on this. We need to spend more time on this. This has become popular, so we got to add this in a little bit. Just old school stuff like like the inside trap. Just your inside trap. Very rarely do people inside trap. Well, this year we've had 3 teams that are trapping our two inside tackles, and there was a year that we did not even teach that. No one bothered because it never happened, and that's part of your staple fundamentals that you always got to continue to go over and and hope that you just put your players in the best position to make plays. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, Coach, you used the word bored earlier, and I can tell you it's not going to be a boring week here at Pickwick High School. It's a big week. It's homecoming week. It's also Hall of Fame week, and Coach, be remiss if I did not mention. I know you're in an interesting position that this has never happened to you before, where you're coaching and getting ready for a game, but you're also being honored this week for Pickwick High School Athletic Hall of Fame on Saturday night. So, first of all, congratulations on that. Well deserved. Talk a little bit about that honor, and then what's it like to coach and also get ready for that at the same time.
Well, it's kind of hard when you start off with it, but then I've kind of got it all capsulized. I know how I'm going to do this, and that is that the evening's got to take second to what we're doing during the season, and it's a great opportunity for me to practice what I preach, and that is that we're going to do everything the way we normally do it, and then if you do your job right, then you'll have an opportunity to have an enjoyable Saturday, and that's what we hope we can do. So we're going to do everything we can to get everything correctly done. Correct. My number one priority is here, the football team, going through everything. We haven't really even brought it up too much, and then once we get into Saturday, be honored to be with a lot of other people who are deserving of that award. So it's going to be a big night. It's not necessarily a big night in terms of, it's a big night in terms of you get to kind of see everybody that you haven't seen in a while, just say, hey, how you doing and everything, and kind of a reunion type deal. So we're honored that 2 or 3 of our football players are going to be involved.
Your former players.
Yeah, we got some former players involved, and that's always nice to see those guys. I always enjoy personally just going to the Hall of Fame thing, just so we can get a chance to catch up with some people. So it'll be a good night.
Well, Coach, we again congratulations, but business first, and that's Greenville on Friday night, and we're going to be here right here on the Indian Nation station. That game will be aired on a delay. You'll be able to catch that on the Indian Nation station and also on Spectrum Channel 5. When we come back, we're going to talk to those nickname guys, Tank and Bernie, when we return. Welcome to the players portion of the program, which is part 2 of the Bill Nace's Coaches Show, brought to you by Dick Lumpkin's Auto Body. You got a bump? Call Lump. Gentlemen, I'm going to have you guys introduce your names and the positions that you guys play.
I'm Tank. I play offensive guard, defensive tackle.
I'm Brennan Johns. I play defensive end.
All right, put it back to Tank. Tank, you've got a first name and a last name. I know everybody calls you Tank, but let's go with what your birth name was before we got to Tank, and then we can get into Tank, okay? Your first name and last name.
I'm Bryce Deal.
That's kind of a strange name for you, isn't it?
It's weird hearing it.
So talk a little bit about how did you get from Bryce Deal to Tank?
Back in Pee Wee, Brady Ewell's grandpa, Coach Ewell, gave me the nickname when I first started playing. And it just kind of stuck around.
And it stuck.
Yep. Never went away.
All right. So it's on the birth certificate. It doesn't say Bryce Deal anymore. It's Tank.
It should.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about you a little bit. This has been, you came in high school, started dressing as a freshman. You've been around pickle football a long time. Mm-hmm. Had certainly a lot of expectations for this year. In the scrimmage, unfortunately, you get hurt with the knee injury. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the knee injury right now and where you've been, and now you're putting yourself in a situation where you're getting back on the field.
It's just kind of been a grind. Like, I haven't really had the expectations to make a full recovery super quick, but at the same time I didn't plan on letting it end my season, so we just kind of kept working at it, didn't let anything get me down, kept all the motivation going, and here we are now dressing again.
And for you, I'm sure it's got to be a relief to be back and back on the field, not just on the sideline, but have an opportunity to get back with the guys.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. What's some of the things that you're looking forward to this year?
Just being around them, the mentality they all bring, the energy, like everything. It's just different group of guys, all in general.
And you've made it appreciate even more. Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably one of these guys you're talking about here is again, they were on the nickname deal here, Bernie. So, Bernie, how did we get to your nickname?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know. Coach Neese, he has a way with thinking and then just nicknames. He has probably 5 to 6 different nicknames for me over the past 3 years, and I've lost track after 2. So,
well, for this one, we'll call you Brennan. Brennan, you've had an outstanding year playing a defensive end on the line for the Indians this year. Talk a little bit about that experience and what that's been like for you to come in as a starter this year.
Me being me, undersized against those big offensive linemen, it's kind of nice when you feel like you can shut them off and get off blocks, but other than that, it's pretty cool, being up there with the big guys, and then you can hang with them and make plays.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a rush for you, and to be right in the mix of it, game in and game out. But it wouldn't be behooved if I did not mention it. The play that probably will stand out for you the rest of your life, and you even mentioned it in your senior night as what your most fondest memory. Take us back, the game where it's Troy and you you get the swoop and scoop for 13 yards on a touchdown. Run us through that play, what that was like, and for all things, it's Troy.
It wasn't even 2 plays since Bryson scored his interception, man. We run down on kickoff. I'm just thinking, now it's my turn to make a play or a game-changing play, and here we go. We get a Falcon call to the field, rip underneath, ball's on the ground, pick it up, and celebrate before I get into the end zone. I'm so excited, couldn't control my emotions. So it's just first touchdown. Had to let the emotions get me.
Brennan, those are you've been around now. You talk about Tank being around, but Brennan, you've been around Piqua football for many, many, many years as your dad's been a coach, and you know what that Troy game means, and to be able to do it at home in front of a great crowd, and what is one of the greatest rivalries in the state of Ohio. That had to be extra special for you.
Oh, yeah. I definitely went over there and hugged my dad right away. Told him I'd get him one. So there's that.
Let's move forward. You guys have had an outstanding year. You're coming off a win, and it was, I'm sure, nice to get one on the road. You're 4-1. You're rolling into Greenville now. What's this second half of the season for you? What's some of the things that you guys are looking for?
Can't let off the gas pedal. We got to focus on just this week, and then after we get done with this week, then it's just week by week by week.
Yeah.
There's no looking forward like ahead of a game, because you don't win the next game. That could set the tone for the next week. So.
Yeah, Tank, we talk a little bit about that for you as a senior now. You're Brennan Senate. I've heard it week by week by a lot of guys that come in here. What's the frame of mind, I guess, for you when you go into film on a Monday, when it might be easy to look a week or 2 weeks ahead? How do you keep that focus?
It's just day by day. Like, you can't get better without practicing each and every day. So if you look forward, you're skipping days where you shouldn't be, and each day you focus on something different and overall improve.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's leadership, and I think that's what coaches talked a lot about all year, and you got a lot of guys in this locker room. And I like to talk about that. You kind of talked about the guys and being around, and there's this senior class, there's 21 of you. There's a lot of you. It seems to be a good, you say the word energy, I say the word synergy of being together. What's it like in the chemistry that you guys have amongst one another?
It's no different than, it's a lot different than any other team. We've all stuck around since 3rd grade. We've worked our way up. We're more than just guys on the field. We're friends off the field. We all have a chemistry more than just football. And I think that's a big part of it, is because we can all figure it out, work together.
Brennan, what's your take here with these guys? A lot of these guys, you're not just playing at practice practicing with in the summer and in the weight room. You're hanging out with them outside of football.
Oh, yeah. It's almost everybody in this locker room hangs out with each other. If not, we're all out to eat together, bonding, making our chemistry even better. And day by day, it's just something that you won't forget, making memories.
You guys have certainly made a lot of memories the last couple of years. I know you guys have a lot of things that you want to continue to make memories with so far coming into it. But graduation is going to come, and we're going to get to a point where it's time to move on to the next phase of your life. What is some of the things that you might be thinking about for yourself down the road here, Brennan?
It's kind of 50-50 right now. I've either decided to enlist into the Air Force or join University of Cincinnati's AFROTC and become an Air Force officer out of college, or just work my way up the ranks and then be eventually a state trooper.
Good for you, yeah. Tank, how about yourself?
More than likely, I'm going to end up going into the workforce, but you never know. Things can end up changing. But as of right now, it's more than likely just get a job, continue from there.
Like the community of Piqua? Want to stay in them? Yeah, you guys are Piqua guys. I know you guys have. It's been a big part of who you guys are and your makeup, and it certainly helps you when you play on Friday nights, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Speaking of Friday night, we're going to be back here on Friday night at Alexander Stadium. Huge week. It's homecoming week. It's Athletic Hall of Fame week and Distinguished Honors week. So we're getting a lot of people that we're going to be introducing at Friday Friday night's game. But the most important thing is there is going to be a game played. Kickoff will be here at 7 o'clock when Greenville comes to town. You can catch the game on the Indian Nation station afterwards. They'll be posted on the Indian Nation station YouTube page. Also, it'll be on throughout Spectrum this coming weekend, this coming week after the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. Gentlemen, we certainly wish you guys luck as you guys continue to trench through the season. I know great things are going to happen for you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And that'll conclude this week for the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. We'll see you next week, and we thank you for joining us today. Have a good one, everyone.